Good morning, everyone. It's very different to see you this way, but we're going to do this. I love seeing you all in person. I'm just going to say that, but I'll take what I can get. So today I came to talk with you guys. Our topic is called Creating Connection Through Love and Understanding. Um, I feel like we need to, kind of a little refresher course as spiritual beings on our connection with our fellow humans. When I've been doing a lot of my praying and meditating over the last couple months, I feel like that's the message that's really been coming through to me. It's just, get out and talk to people about loving and connecting with each other. And I think it has a lot to do with the fact that it's an election year and there's just so much being shoved in our faces to make us see the differences between us and things to make us be triggered and argumentative and I feel like we have to like counteract that, and as a spiritual community, I really feel like it's kind of our job, our duty to kind of step up our game and come at this with like, okay, if they're going to be bombarding us with the divisive thoughts and just like angry, mean, nasty things, then we've got to counteract with just as much love and light and positive things. And so I just kind of wanted to share with you today and kind of give you a little reminder, a little refresher. It's easy for us to love the people we know. It's easy for us to love and connect with the people that are already in our lives. And I mean, I do know that we have people we love that are hard to deal with too. Believe me, that's not wasted on me. But it's still easier when we already know them. It's a lot harder, obviously, for us to feel love and connection to people we don't know. And I feel like even in today's world, it's really about a lot of people just want to avoid people they don't know. We get a lot of this detachment, like, I have enough in my life. I don't need to, try and figure out other people around me. I just want to avoid them and stay away from them. And that, I believe, is the opposite of what we're meant to do. And so I think a lot of times we have to, it's easier for us to not engage. It's easier for us to judge and criticize and be like, I can't believe these people. Uh, I'm living with my parents, in case people didn't know. They watch a lot of game shows. And so I'm watching game shows with them now and then, which I'm not a big game show person, but I end up watching with them. And I'll find oftentimes my parents will be like, oh, I can't believe that person didn't know the answer. Well, they must be, an idiot, or what's wrong with this person? Immediately judging this person on this game show. And I'll say, well, Mom, they might be nervous. Did you ever think about that? It's not easy to be in front of millions of people and you're being put on the spot. I said, I don't think it's right for us to judge. We're not in their shoes. And so even just something as simple as criticizing some stranger on a game show, I started recognizing, hey, that's not right. We shouldn't be doing that. We don't understand their situation. And so it made me really think about that, we have to remember we're all connected, right? We're all energetic, spiritual beings, and we're all connected to each other. So we just have this giant family that we forget about sometimes because we're so connected to this little family we have. We forget that we're also part of this big family. And so if we really start thinking that way, then no one's a stranger, right? So it makes us have to force ourselves to look through our spirit rather than our ego when we're looking at others, to have that love and empathy and compassion when we look at others. Throughout my life, I feel I've been very blessed. Even before I started studying metaphysics, I've always felt like I would try to find the good in people. And, friends of mine have criticized me for that. Oh, you just always want to see the good in someone, and then you're letting them take advantage of you. You're letting them take you for granted. And I know you guys have all been in that boat too, where maybe you saw the good in someone, they took advantage of you, they hurt you. But I don't want to let that stop me from seeing the good in people. Because at the end of the day, what that person did towards me, how they made me feel, it's not a personal thing. I'm making it personal, but it's something going on with them that is causing them to treat me this way. And so learning to look past that and still see that this person's a good person, like I said, I feel very blessed that I can do that. And I don't see that as a weakness or a something to change or fix about myself. I understand people being like, well, you don't want people to walk over you. Well, there's a difference between loving someone and allowing them to walk over you, right? So being aware and having safe boundaries, but still being willing to love that person. I mean, I'm not saying it's easy. It's definitely a challenge. But if we proclaim to be spiritual beings, that we really believe and truly know that about ourselves, and we know that that's what everyone else is around us, then we have to let go of that ego that wants us to criticize and judge people's actions. See their actions for what they are, but don't let it change your love and your spirit view of them. If you get what I'm saying here. Um, so I did put in a prayer request this week because of a situation that happened at my brother's house. Most of you know I have two brothers that are high functioning autistic young men, and they just, for the first time in their lives this year, got to move into a house that was like an independent living situation. But it's a 3-bedroom house, so that meant that there was always going to be a third person involved that they wouldn't know, a stranger. It gets a little complicated when you're dealing with people that don't have real good social cues and don't always know how to interact with others they don't know. So, there was a lot of people involved with this, trying to find a roommate that would work, trying to make sure that they get along. So people are involved with trying to keep the situation, running smoothly, if you will. We are actually on our second roommate, and our second roommate's only been there about 6 weeks. And we are not allowed to know anything about our roommates because of HIPAA laws and whatnot. So we don't always know what we're getting into. And so this situation, unfortunately, ended up being a kind of a very scary and unfortunate situation that happened earlier in the week. One of my brothers was assaulted. And I got to be there for it. So it was very scary. But I felt so good because I knew that all of my training and all of my learning through the spiritual center and my understanding of who I am, when the event happened in front of me, it was unexpected. That fight or flight reaction kicked in, that adrenaline kicked in because now it's getting aggressive. There was a lot of anger going on. And I could feel it inside of me. I could feel that anger inside of me. I was feeling a little triggered. I was defensive and scared. I wanted to protect my brother. But at the same time, even though I didn't know this young man that was attacking him, I was not wanting to do things in a way that would hurt him either. So I was being very cautious and careful with my actions and my words because I was not just thinking about my brother. I was thinking about this young man as well. Unfortunately, I did end up having to call the police, and we had to have the young man arrested because we just could not de-escalate the situation. But when he left, I immediately sat with my brothers, comforting them, but I also reminded them that please don't take this personally, what this young man did. He clearly has issues going on. He clearly has anger and hurt and trauma inside of him that we don't know about. And I said, so please know he didn't attack you because he thinks you're a bad person or it's a personal thing. It's his own pain that caused him to attack you. And I was trying to help them understand it because I wanted them to still have compassion for him too, even in that moment of where they were feeling angry towards him and wanting to be mad at him. I wanted to remind them that he is only human like you. He has these issues we don't know about. And so, if anything, I feel sad for him that he is suffering so much that he had to lash out at you guys, and I don't know how much they understood, but I was able to get them calm, and then I left there. I was there for several hours, but when I finally left there, I went and had a good cry in my car. And I was crying for my brothers, but I was crying just as much for that young man that I didn't know because I just could see his pain and his suffering. And I didn't have any animosity towards him for what he did to my brothers. If anything, I did have a brief moment of guilt for having to call the cops on him because I never want to do that to someone, and I want to try and be patient and understanding and de-escalate, but when it was out of my control, so I had to do it, and I had to let go of that guilt that I had to do it. But it just reminded me that when I was reacting, I was still trying to do it from love, even though my ego and my anger was trying to push its way through and trying to trigger me. I felt the love just kind of pushing that away. Like, nope, we're not going to react that way. We're going to react with love. We're going to stay calm. We're going to try and be here for all these boys involved. And I felt very fortunate that I've reached a place where I could do that, and I didn't just go into that default mode of wanting to react and protect my brother, and now I can't stand this kid, and he must just be a bad kid, and I couldn't let myself do it. That didn't feel right. That didn't feel natural, because that's not who we are. We are people that see the light and love in others, even when they're being aggressive, even when they're trying to, you know, lash out at us or someone we love. If we can still find a way to look at them through love, it changes the whole situation. I mean, it could have been a lot worse situation than it was. I really believe it. So I'm grateful that it was only what it was. It was minor in comparison to what it could have been. But I still was able to walk away with it from learning from it, which anytime you can learn from something, right? It's meant to be. So I think that the biggest thing is understand we have to shift our perspective that every human is unique, right? We all have our strengths, our weaknesses, our gifts to share with each other. And together we have the power to heal each other and everything around us. And only fear can divide us. That's what it really comes down to. I love when people say there's just two things in this world, love and fear. And so fear is the divisive power. When we, use love to conquer fear, then we can connect with others. We can heal our own issues and we can connect to others. Fear is a very strong human emotion, and we got to understand that most humans who don't understand who they are and what they are acting out of fear. And so that's another view that we can give when we're dealing with a difficult person, is that 9 times out of 10, they're difficult because they're living in fear. But we know that we are love and we're living from love. So our love can counteract that fear. So we have to remind ourselves of that. So when we tap into who we really are, which is beings of love and light, then we have to look at others through eyes of love. We have to find understanding. We have to accept that they are different. We remember that we are all on our own path, right? We're all on our own journey. And so if we can't go around trying to pull other people off their paths and be like, your path's wrong. Here's my path. Come see what my path is. It's way better. That's not what we're here for, right? So getting argumentative with people, trying to prove we're right when they're wrong, that's all our ego. That's all our ego trying to tell us, well, you know best. I mean, you are a spiritual, metaphysical being, so you must have all the answers. And if someone's not living like you, then you should be trying to tell them otherwise. But that's not what we're here for. Loving someone and telling them what to do is not the same thing. So, we have to also recognize that we have to accept the journey they're on. And, if we want to share our journey, that's fine, but we're not meant to pull them off of their path and put them on our path. We got to do our path our way. They got to do their path their way. And we just got to love and respect them, whether it looks, vastly different than our path. It doesn't matter, because we're not to say what their path is. We're just here to love and support each other. So I think moving forward with, like I said, the election year and stuff like that, there's going to be a lot of things you're going to think differently from other people. But that's okay, because we're not meant to think the same. We're meant to have different thoughts. It's how we feel. We're supposed to feel love for these people, not question whether they are right and we are right. It's not a competition. I like to say that all the time. We are not in competition. There is no grand prize. We're just here to live, learn, and love. So, letting go of those expectations and releasing, any of our resistance to, connecting with people because they're different. Like we've got to let go of that resistance. Like it's good for us to experience different things, to have different perspectives shown to us. We don't have to agree with them, but it always opens our mind to seeing all the varieties of views and perspectives that everyone has. I mean, we're just all our own little pieces of the puzzle, right? And so every piece needs to be different, So, but when you put it all together, then we're just this beautiful array of art that's all come together to make one thing. So we need to quit trying to, distort people in the way we think things are going to be, and let them be who they are and love them in spite of it. So celebrating our differences, I think, is my favorite thing. Learning instead of to try and change someone, celebrating who they are. So I want to challenge you guys moving forward to recognize when your ego is clouding your vision. When you have that gut reaction of, oh, this person is really annoying. Maybe it's just when you're in traffic. Maybe it's when you're at the grocery store. Maybe it's when you're at work. That difficult person. I want to challenge yourself to step away from that ego view of them and try to step into that spiritual view. See them through your love and light. See past their ego and look for their spirit. Accept that their view is different and love them anyway. Because when we live from a place of love and understanding, we can create deeper connections and we can live as we're meant to be.